Hello, I'm Kamali, taking you through the stories people are talking about and sharing around the world on NewsFeed today. Assassinated a week ago, a Brazilian politician's voice and her cause gained strength online. Hashtag Cambridge Analytica uncovered. Would you get in a self-driving Uber? And the last man standing put down, Sudan the rhino, is dead. At the top of our news feed, MarielleVive. Marielle Franco is being immortalised online. She was the only black woman on Rio's city council. She spoke against police brutality and for black empowerment. Now, her murder last Wednesday has lit up Brazilian politics, social media and spread globally. Her Twitter account is still active and has a pinned tweet from March the 19th, 4 days after her killing.
O feminist movement, todos os termos e trabalhar e rascunhar no inglês mesmo.
This video taken from Facebook Live shows her speaking on the night she died on the 15th of March.
Mas consegui ocupar esse lugar e aí quando eu vejo o Afro Hub, acho que traz.
Now, 30 or so minutes later, Marielle Franco has been driven to another event, and this. Someone opened fire on her car. She was hit 9 times, 4 times in the head. Now, her driver was also killed. Her colleague was seriously hurt. Reports today say that the bullets used were police-issued 9mm shells.
The characteristics are of an execution. We have to resolve this as soon as possible, not for each one of us, but for Rio de Janeiro. This is completely inadmissible. A person full of life, full of desire, a fundamental person for Rio, who was brutally murdered.
Well, people then took to the streets. As I said, her Twitter account is still active and her Facebook page is being used to organise. People have been out all over the world inspired by her bravery and message, refusing to let her voice be quieted. And it's not just in Rio, but in New York, London, Paris, Munich, Stockholm, Lisbon and Madrid. In the interconnected world of now, these movements can ignite and burn fast and hot. The challenge is to keep the fire going. There will be more demonstrations today under the hashtag MarielleVive, where you can read more about what she means to Brazilians and keep across the story. Now, the death of another woman is causing plenty of online comments, this time in the British city of Nottingham. Mariam Moustafa's family blamed the police for not doing more.
من الأول إن للأسف الشديد كان فيه تباطؤ وتواطؤ.
All right, let's look at what else is trending on social media. The actor Cynthia Nixon has announced that she'll run to be governor of New York City. She was a phenom of a show called Sex and the City in the late 90s. It is now a liberal activist and an associate of the New York mayor, Bill de Blasio. The film Black Panther continues to break new ground. It's still top of the box office after 5 weeks and has brought in more than $600 million from Marvel Studios. It beats the new Tomb Raider movie this weekend. And everyone can relax, Daphne has been found. The giant inflatable yellow fowl turned up near Perth in Australia. It's the mascot of a swimming club, and an appeal was launched last week for its safe return because the internet exists and this is what people do now. Now, a warrant is being sought by the British government to search the databases of the firm Cambridge Analytica. The company denied any wrongdoing after being revealed by Channel 4 News to be ready to use illegal methods available to whomever has the deepest pockets to get people elected around the world. Lawmakers on both sides of the Atlantic are accusing the firm of lying about their use of data. Now, the firm made use of all social media, but effectively harvested more than 500 million Facebook profiles. The CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, is watching it all unfold, and he's not posted a thing since the story broke. Well, there's plenty to talk about here, and Paul Bernal is joining us from the University of East Anglia. He's in the city of Cambridge. Paul, good to speak to you. Before we come on to Zuckerberg, it does seem amazing to me that this has caught everyone off guard. We give our data to these networks. Should we be surprised that it's being misused in certain ways?
Well, not really. I think what's interesting is that people in my field have been talking about this kind of thing for a very long time. I think I was first writing about political manipulation through this kind of data in 2010, 2011. But people don't really want to listen, and they don't want to listen because things like Facebook are so nice and convenient and useful that it's easy to imagine that everything's okay and not even think about the implications.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you've written in the past couple of days that this isn't Facebook being abused so much, rather just being used.
Yes, exactly. The things that Cambridge Analytica did are just a natural evolution of the things that they do in Facebook for advertising. So you try to focus on people who will be particularly sympathetic to your product. You try to manipulate them and persuade them to buy your product rather than another product. This is Facebook's meat and drink. Exactly the same applied in politics works. You try to find the people who are most likely to be persuadable, and then you use whatever tools you can to persuade them into your way. Because they've got so much data, they can profile us so accurately that they can actually find ways to manipulate us that are particularly suited to us. And that's what happened. And all Cambridge Analytica did is take the tools that were created for advertising and apply them to politics. I mean, it's not actually that surprising.
No, and it's not revolutionary either, is it, Paul? Because if you think about it, I mean, I grew up in a generation where if you gave your phone out to someone, you'd get a cold call being sold something. You know, this is a similar thing, isn't it? But it's 2018 and it's on the internet.
Exactly, it's the same kind of thing. But because of the scale of the data that we've got, because of the sophistication of the tools, because of the development of the profiling, and we can now profile, because they've got so much data, you need very little data on one individual in order to profile them. The targeting can be more precise, the methods can be more persuasive. It's not just about ads, it's about which posts get given priority and get pushed forward for you. And the sort of people like Cambridge Analytica who have the expertise to be able to game these systems, to manipulate these systems, are seeing it as an opportunity, and they're just using it. And Facebook can pretend to be innocent here and that they've been misled and misused by Cambridge Analytica. But actually, they built the system, they have the data, and this is actually using it the way it's supposed to be used, just applying it to politics rather than to products.
I mean, that's one of the things that fascinates me, and I've mentioned Zuckerberg has been quiet since all of this broke about 48 hours or so ago. I mean, where is he? Do you think he is culpable in some way? This is his baby. He built it in his dorm room at Harvard.
Yes, I mean, frankly, I think Facebook are more culpable than Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica, in some ways, are just taking standard tactics for politics. Manipulation has always been a thing in politics. Dirty tricks have always been a thing in politics. And they've applied it in this new environment created by Zuckerberg and Facebook and taken advantage of the tools that Facebook have created. And frankly, Facebook should know that these tools that they've created can and will be used in this way. Again, people in my field have been talking about it for a long time. But again, for him, it's nice to pretend he is a nice... Facebook has a nice image, a kind of family-friendly image. It links you up with your best mates. It supports freedom of speech, which everybody says is wonderful. But that's really not the story.
It is wonderful in most respects, isn't it, Paul, though?
It is wonderful. And that's the thing. We have to understand, and this is where the other danger comes here. It is possible that governments will react to this by trying to clamp down on freedom of speech, shut down Facebook, block Twitter, and so on. And that would actually be the worst of both worlds. We get the manipulation by the likes of Facebook, and we get the clampdowns by government suppressing freedom of speech. We have to find another way. And that, in the end, depends on us. We have to be cleverer. We have to be more sophisticated. We have to be more choosy about what we do. So if you've got a choice to do something by an email or by a Facebook message, do it by an email. If you have a choice to play a game through Facebook or directly on the game, do it directly on the game, and so on. Just to be a bit more clever.
And more selective in your choices, right?
Selective in your choices, exactly. And
Paul, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you again, mate. I'm sorry, but we have to stop it there. We're running out of time. But thank you so much for joining us. A story that will continue. Let me take you around the world for the other stories you have to know this Tuesday. Now, Donald Trump says he wants a change in the law to bring in the death penalty for drug dealers. He says the threat of death for dealing will help America's prescription drugs crisis. He made no mention of trying to stop big pharma companies from forcing drugs into America's inefficient health system. A FedEx employee has been injured when a package bound for Austin in Texas exploded at one of the company's facilities. It contained nails and other bits of metal. It's the 5th bomb in the post in the area in a month. 4 people have been killed. And while the world waits for Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump to come face to face, another step towards peace on the Korean Peninsula has been made. South Korea will send a 160-strong member K-pop group to North Korea. They'll play 4 shows on the 31st of March. Now, as you would have heard, a woman has been killed by a self-driving Uber in the United States. The CEO of the company tweeted his condolences, and police in Tempe, Arizona, where the accident happened, say that the car and Uber are most likely not at fault. Well, our Oscar Subbati has been looking at this for us. And Oscar, I know about your scepticism about self-driving cars. Would you get in one?
Well, certainly not at this stage, Kamali. And just to remind people of the incident, a 49-year-old woman was walking her bicycle outside a pedestrian crossing on a 4-lane road in Phoenix, Arizona, when she was struck by the Uber vehicle travelling at around 65 kilometres per hour. Now, the car was in autonomous mode with a human operator behind the wheel, and police were unsure whether it slowed down before the collision. Essentially, we have experimental technology already hitting public roads before all of the flaws have been figured out. Now, this kind of testing really should have only been conducted in a private facility.
Absolutely, but they've reached that stage, Oscar, haven't they, when they want to test this on real roads. And if this tech can be proven to work, it's going to change the way we live.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and that is the general idea. We've got people in the industry suggesting that it would ultimately reduce traffic accidents, the idea being that computers are safer than humans. Now, self-driving cars are programmed to recognise road markings and signs, as well as the GPS technology that's designed to convey speed limits and various traffic conditions. But Sunday's accident really does highlight the fact that there are still many challenges that lie ahead for the technology as the cars take on real-world situations involving real people.
Absolutely. And what kind of a setback do you think this is for the technology?
Yes, it's quite a significant setback. Uber says it's suspending self-driving car tests in all North American cities after that fatal accident, and I dare say other companies and its competitors may follow suit. And you have to understand that car makers and tech companies like Uber are currently locked in a fierce race to be the first to release self-driving technology. And just last Friday, Uber and competitor Waymo urged the US Congress to pass sweeping legislation to speed the introduction of self-driving cars. But in the wake of this death, one Democratic senator who sits on the influential Transportation Committee has urged exceptional caution when deploying this technology. So it sounds like America's lawmakers may also be putting the brakes on this technology, at least for now.
At least for now. OK, Oscar, for now, thank you. Now, the planet could soon be one species of rhino less after the death of the last male of his kind. Sudan was the last male northern white rhino, and he's been put down. He had been put on Tinder as a marketing stunt. The scientists who were looking after him say they've saved some of his genetic material, which may be used in future in developing in vitro fertilization techniques using the eggs of the last 2 female of the species left too. Well, that's all from the NewsFeed team. You can reach me all the time on Twitter. I'm at Kamali Melbourne. Find us on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you subscribe and add. I will see you again tomorrow.